So in a video I've just made, I spoke a little bit about the tape of my time in basic training when I joined the army, and I just wanted to add on to that a little bit to kind of explain it a bit more. So I joined the British Army in 1998, and your basic training is about 12 weeks. I joined at the beginning in 98, well, March 98, so there was a Easter holiday included in that, so it was probably about 14 weeks all in that I spent there. When I passed out, it's called a pass out parade, when you kind of graduate from basic training, and my parents came to watch this. And at the time you have an option to buy photos. They take photos of you in your number 2 uniform, you know, your good kit. And there was also an option to buy a videotape, a VHS. This is 1998, like I said, there wasn't DVDs at the time, or if there was, they were very new. There's an option to buy a VHS, which they did. When I seen this video, you know, it would have been months and months later that I actually got to view this video. It was very, the video that they got of my pass out parade, it was very generic. It was just a basic kind of overview of what anyone that was in the military. So you didn't expect me to come down this way, so they've sent orange high-vis man to come past me. Just had some cunt nearly run into me, they love to do that as well. Anyway, it was very generic, so like this is what your child or your whatever has done when they were in the army. So it was just generic scenes of not me in particular and not my troop that I trained with in particular, but just a kind of generic overview. See, they're fucking with my phone again. Just a generic overview of the time that I would have had while in basic training. And right at the end of this tape, when I watched it, like I said, there was a little clip of me with the other 3 girls that had been in my troop, giving a little kind of talk to camera, you know, just kind of saying what you enjoyed about your basic training, etc. You know, I was 17 at the time, I was just a kid. And that was it. And then years and years later, I got the chance to see someone else's who I think I'd been in basic training with at the same time. And theirs was very, very different to the tape that I'd seen that had been delivered to my house. Theirs had all very personalised things to do with them. It had them when they were in the gas chamber, you know, you have to do gas training. It had them while they were doing runs. It had them while they were doing PT. It had them on the rifle range. It had them, you know, in their kind of accommodation with their bed made. It had them marching, etc, etc, etc. All very personalised. And I remember saying at the time that mine was nothing fucking like that, you know. Mine didn't have anything like that in it. Well, fast forward to when they came in my house, you know, Andrew Fitzpatrick, Eddie Gordon, etc, etc, the police, etc. Well, they showed me all the bits of this that were missing from the tape that I was shown. So, you know, I don't know whether the tape was delivered and it was my parents that kind of cut these bits out to kind of use and show me later on, you know, just like photos and toys and everything from my life as a child has kind of disappeared. It's gone missing. There is absolutely nothing of mine, whereas my brother has lots and lots of memories, you know, physical memories, material memories of his childhood, and mine is just non-existent. So whether the tape was delivered fully formed to my parents and they arranged for it to be cut out, you know, these bits, or whether it was cut out pre-delivery by the military and they've saved these little clips for later on to use to basically gang stalk me later on, you know. But when they came into my house, they did show me all these things, and subsequently they use these events, i.e. the gas chamber, you know, how I reacted. They use this in my targeting now, so they'll get people walking past me kind of as though they've just came out of the gas chamber. They'll get things that I've said in this videotape, you know, clips of me in the military. They'll have people walking past me, acting out scenes from these tapes that I had never seen until, you know, 3.5 years ago when they showed me them when I was drugged. So I find that very interesting. That's kind of what I mean, you know. There's something else I was going to say, I can't remember. Forgotten it now. Kind of, they fuck with your brain, don't they? They really, really fucking mess with your brain and kind of stop it working and stop you being able to think about what it is that you're kind of doing. I love the way they're messing with my phone. It's interesting, isn't it? Is that the AI or is that an actual person sat behind a screen doing that? I have no idea. It's interesting. But yeah, these events, they'll show me them, and they had to show me them. They had to come into my house 3 years ago and show me these things because they were acting them out previous to this, but I wasn't catching on because I'd never seen these this tape. You know, I'd never seen these things, so I had no idea what it was that they were doing. You know, I remember a neighbour saying to me, Nicola de Goy, the non-Jew, the fucking nosy cunt neighbour. She used to always tell me shit about other people, and I said to her one day, you know, I'm not interested in what other people are doing. You know, she would always bitch and gossip about everybody. And I said, I've no interest in what other people are doing. Or I said, I don't know what they're doing. And she goes really angrily to me. She went, you don't notice anything. Like really fucking pissed off, you know. They were doing all this shit to me for years and years and I wasn't noticing, and it was really fucking getting on their wick, which is the reason that they had to show me all these videos to be like, there you go, you know, this is what we're doing around you. This is the scenes of your life that we're acting out. There was a bit in it when I was in the army that we were kind of bugged out, it's called. So it was a pretend gas attack, and one of the people had to simulate one of my, you know, little soldiers that I'd joined with, simulate being ill. So some people carried him and I had to carry his bag, you know, his Bergen, his rucksack. So I obviously had my bag on my back, so I put his on my front. So they walk past me quite often carrying a bag on their front, you know, to kind of simulate that scene from that. Again, the gas chamber one, you know, they do that quite a lot. They walk past me kind of coughing and spluttering. When I went into the gas chamber, they test whether your gas mask's working properly. So they had this bottle of green coloured fluid, and they said, can you smell that with your gas mask on? And I was the only person that said yeah. And he said, what does it smell like? And I said, sweeties, because it did. And so they say that around me quite a lot, you know, sweetie or sweeties. Or also the liquids, it was green. And when I was being held on a psychiatric hold, one of the people that was there to look after me, one of the agency staff that had to come into the hospital and keep an eye on me, you know, he had a bottle of a 2-litre bottle of green liquid, and I fucking laughed, you know, because I knew what it was. I knew what it was that he was doing, and I said it smelled like sweeties. It actually smelled like Parma violets, if anyone knows what those sweets are. They're purple colour, but the liquid in the bottle was green. So Robert Ferguson made a big deal of his favourite sweets, you know, was Parma violets. He made sure that I was aware of that. He made sure that he kind of told me that fact. So just all these little things, you know, they kind of use against you that they've got from video of you that you've never seen, that's been kind of kept hidden from you. So that then in the future, you know, this is all pre-planned. They knew what it was that they were going to do to me in the future. So obviously they kept this stuff back to kind of use against me, you know. Trying to think of anything else. I'll probably forget stuff, and then it annoys me once I need to go back and kind of, I think about it once I've finished, and then I'm like, shit, I should have mentioned that. But yeah, there was other bits in it. There was the bit that I do have memory of that they did put in the original video that I got to see was I was asked at the end, you know, what's your favourite bit about basic training, and I made a little fucking sarky joke saying meeting all my friends. Unfortunately, none of them can be here today, and the other 3 girls, you know, that I'd been through basic training with, they all went, oh, cheeky, you know. So they'll use that quite a lot, you know. They'll write from all your. I remember getting a gift when I worked at Gist in Cumbernauld, and one of the girls in the office, she'd arranged a gift for me for a special occasion, and she wrote on the label, from all your friends, you know. So so they use all these little bits, you know. They've got all this information, all this videotape, and they've been kind of researching it over and over and over again, you know, to use against you. But obviously I wasn't kind of catching on, so they had to kind of come in and do it, you know. Another thing that Nicola de Goy, she said something about one of the neighbours, and she said he's you know, they've moved out over there, pointing to the flats. These people, I don't know if you can see them. They've realised that I was filming, or someone's told them, you know, and they've turned round and fucked off back again. Yeah, she said, oh, such and such have moved out in the flats, this person over there. And I think I said, I have no idea, like, I don't keep an eye on. I should have said I'm not a fucking nosy, specky, ugly bastard like you, but I didn't. But I said, I've no idea, you know. And she went, yeah, they done a moonlit flit. Now, one of the things in my house that I had was my mum had phoned into a radio station for her and my dad's anniversary, and my dad had recently, my mum had MS, so he'd made sure that he'd just recently bought a bungalow, so everything was all on the one level for her because she was wheelchair permanently. By then she was in a wheelchair, and so the people that had the bungalow previously had done a moonlit flit, or it'd been a repossession, so they'd kind of trashed the place and left in the middle of the night, and it'd been repossessed, so my parents kind of got it at a good price. So she phoned up this radio station and then taped the radio station with the request, and it was to my dad wishing him a happy anniversary from his wife, and the song that she requested was Moonlighting. So that's what Nicola DeGoy was getting at, because obviously they'd been in my house, and they'd been through all my stuff, and I had a cassette tape of this on the radio, so they'd obviously listened to that, so that's what she was kind of referring to then. So they just take bits from all parts of your life and then they play it back to you again and again on a loop, Obviously, you don't notice anything. So they had to really fucking go hard a few years ago and show me all the stuff that they were doing, so it was kind of fresh in my mind. And they continue to do it on a daily basis, all these things they'll put around me again and again. Quite recently they had a woman walking past me just a week ago with her backpack on her front again. It's just all these things to try and get to you, as if these people have kind of seen every part of your life. And it very much, in my case, goes back to people in Scotland like Alex Arthur, Eddie Gordon, solicitors and police within Scotland, that were doing the exact same thing to my parents, and they've kind of carried it on with me. So anyway, that's just a little more insight into the military, into the tapes. The military are very much involved again in my targeting and my stalking, and they have been right from the start. This was all kind of pre-planned, and I do believe that they've kept the information on those cassettes back, or maybe they were intercepted in the post, and they've been these clips are taken out of them from there and never shown to me until kind of 20 odd years later. But the military play a massive part in this. Obviously the amount of kind of money involved, and the logistics of people involved, and how planned it is, etc. It's not a kind of something that some fucking junkies for Cumbernauld could carry out. Anyway, take care. Lots of love to you all. Bye bye.